I don't know why you dodged it. Let's take another, the Forward Contracts Regulation Act Amendment Bill. The BJP will back it?
Yes, of course. They have to bring it to the standing committee. They have not yet brought it to the standing committee.
But the Trinamool Congress is not letting it be brought to the standing committee. It's been postponed by the Trinamool Congress. Right or wrong, Manish? Is that a fact or fiction?
Well, Arnab, before I come to your question, and I'm not in the habit of dodging questions which you ask or anybody else asks, allow me to point out to Mr. Piyush Goyal that selective amnesia on the Prime Minister's speech, really will not do. The Prime Minister very clearly pointed out that today 1 out of every 5 households in India have access to Manrega. The Prime Minister pointed out that today 50% of all villages in India have been electrified, which is up from 3 out of 10 villages when we took office in 2004. The Prime Minister pointed out that all children in the age group of 6 to 16 years are today covered under the right to education.
No, but that is not why you are again dodging. I'm afraid you are dodging.
I'm so glad he has raised these issues.
Piyush Goyal, so for Mr. Piyush
I'm so glad I'll answer you.
That the Prime Minister's speech was a laundry list of the failures of this government, I think is a case of selective amnesia.
No, not at all.
And not even properly trying to read the speech of the Prime Minister. Now coming to your question insofar as the Forward Contracts Regulation Bill is concerned, or for that matter, the pension bill that you pointed out, Arnab, it's a fact that within the UPA coalition, like in all coalitions, there is a difference of opinion on various issues. But difference of opinion does not mean disconsonance. Yes, we are reaching out to our allies. We are simultaneously reaching out to the opposition also, because we want.
No, I'll give you another example.
Some of these issues which are critical.
Now I'll take you to a third example.
Now don't interrupt always when I'm trying to answer. At least hear the answer properly. All that I'm trying to say is that it is not a sequential reaching out. It is a concurrent and a simultaneous reaching out to everybody, because we feel that if some of these steps are not taken over the next 2 months, we will not be able to return to the high growth trajectory which was benchmarked by the UPA from 2004
so can we
to 2009.
take it that UPA will set its house in order in 2 months?
It's an attempt to simultaneously reach out. And
so in 2 months will they come out with a UPA document which we can then address?
Better, and they manage the coalition badly. Today the need of the hour is that you have to look at the economy divorced from your political one-upmanship or your political partisanship, because remember, we are not the only stakeholders in this economy. You are an equal stakeholder. The opposition is an equal stakeholder. State governments, whether they are run by the Congress or the opposition, where the people of this country reside, are also equal stakeholders. So that's why the Prime Minister, I think, made a very, very far-reaching statement when he said that look at the economy in the global context today as you look at challenges to national security.
No, but you see, you are avoiding each of my direct points.
Politics.
You are avoiding.
Can we see in 2 months they come out with a policy document of the UPA on which we can deliberate and come out with our views?
Don't tell me that the BJP, when it was in power, was a picture of economic rationality.
Well,
I remember during Vajpayee was having a knee operation. It was the year 2000. At that point of time, based on a so-called consensus, there had been a hike in, marginal to steep hike in LPG prices, fuel, petrol, diesel. Mamata Banerjee said, I'm going to walk out. At that point of time, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee could not bite the bullet. Coalition compulsions are not unknown to the NDA. We
reached out even to the Congress when we were in power. We always had a consensus on issues. Whenever they talk to us, for example, Standing Committee has come out with recommendations on insurance, on banking. We are happy to support the government if they come out with that.
I find it very interesting, and on this is my final point on this News Hour debate tonight. You take an aggressive position on all these issues.
Not at all.
No, you have a right to. You are the opposition.
No, but we are ready to support if they come out with a agreed paper.
However, I have a piece of paper with me tonight.
Sure.
Which is a point-by-point reply which Manish Tiwari will note is being circulated by the government, Prime Minister's office, government sources to all Congress spokespersons to help them prepare to defend the government on the CAG report on what is described as Colgate. I'm sure, Manish, you are also preparing your defense for it tomorrow. It's going to come up in Parliament. I find it interesting that on that issue...
Well, Arnab, allow me to point out that there is no note which has been circulated by the PMO or anybody else. And when Congress spokespersons come and defend the government, they don't require any prepping up. I think as members of parliament, we have access to materials which allows us to come
absolutely sure that you are.
And then put the best defense possible.
I am sure that you are.
There is no paper, there's no note which has been
I'm sure, but material is doing the rounds and everybody is preparing in their own way. Manish Tiwari may not need
the press to understand.
Manish Tiwari may not need a note, but there may be others who need a note. The question is, Mr. Goyal, can you please tell me, just because their Congress party has put the ball back in your court saying, don't raise your voice on Colgate. Your state governments were part of the consensus. Your senior party leaders have been beneficiaries directly or indirectly.
I'm sorry.
Your state governments have been part of the plot.
Absolutely wrong.
People close to the BJP have been beneficiaries of allocation, and therefore you choose to make these generic points, but you're absolutely silent when it comes to this.
No, we are absolutely clear.
The Congress has silenced you.
I'm sorry, Colgate. We are absolutely clear. This government came out with a policy that they will allocate all coal blocks subsequent to 2006 through a process of auction. A bill was introduced in the parliament. It was before parliament. It was before the standing committee. They had no business to do allocation of blocks on an ad hoc basis without going through a proper process.
They have allocated. The process is over.
And
the CAG report was submitted.
Unacceptable. The BJP and the NDA are opposed to that process.
It's all cosmetic.
I'm sorry, it is not cosmetic. We have our MPs, Mr. Prakash Javadekar, Mr. Hansraj Ahir, have been in the forefront of this.
It's all cosmetic.
I'm sorry, it is not cosmetic.
The government took its time. You are not even asking them to place the CAG report. They presented the CAG report, was given to the government on the 11th. Parliament ended on 22nd. On the floor of the House, you were asking for the House to be dropped. I have no reason to believe that an informed party with senior leaders like the BJP did not know
I wish Times Now would have given us that letter in May. And we could have raised the issue in Parliament. You brought it out.
My point is that in fits and starts you are speaking, there is no conviction. The same conviction with which you spoke on 2G, on CWG is missing on Colgate. You need to tell me why.
We are completely convinced the entire process of allocating these coal mines was not transparent. It was ad hoc. There were collateral considerations, and we believe they should scrap all these coal allotments. There has to be a transparent process by which these allotments can go forward, and this government is accountable for what they have done, and the Prime Minister was the minister in charge of the coal department.
Okay, Manish Tiwari, now you're going to try and share the blame, I'm told. You're going to try and share the blame, I'm told, with the state government, say there was a screening committee, etc. They're not going to buy it tomorrow.
I am not even getting into a debate on a CAG report which has not even been tabled so far. I was quite intrigued that it seems that the BJP has a back channel to the CAG and they are privy to a report which has yet to be tabled in Parliament.
Well, it's thanks to the media.
It's improper for members of Parliament. It's highly improper for members of Parliament to be discussing a report which has not even been tabled in the House. And allow me to only point out a double standard. When it comes to PAC reports,
but a full defense is prepared by the government.
When it comes to CAG reports in Gujarat, then the argument is that the Public Accounts Committee is the body which is responsible.
But is that the issue, Manish?
Them and coming to conclusions.
Is that the issue?
But when it comes to Delhi, they jump the gun. They're like a bolting Mustang. Over a wild meadow. Absolutely charged up. When it comes to going to a PAC committee.
Manish, tonight I give you the award of what can be described as the most remarkable adjective ever used. Can you repeat?
What do you call us?
Like bolting Mustangs over a wild meadow.
I beg to differ. I don't think I'm a bolting buffalo. That's not parliamentary also.
In any of the words that I've used.
He said Mustang, not
buffalo. There's nothing unparliamentary. You can go and check the dictionary on parliamentary
I don't know. Then by that same logic, I hope you know what a flock of buffoons is called.
Okay, my God. I'm glad that...
and I don't think that's unparliamentary also.
Okay, now, gentlemen.
We'll leave this for another day.
Now, gentlemen, tomorrow is the CAG report. I will discuss the CAG report in detail tomorrow. When we get our hands on it, which I'm sure we will be the first to tomorrow, when we debate it with the facts, I request both of you gentlemen to join us again on the Newshour debate on the CAG Colgate scam report tomorrow. We'll have a lot to talk about. For now and only for tonight, Manish and Piyush, great to have you as always. Thank you very much, gentlemen.